Hello, hope everybody's doing great. Today we're going to study a little bit on a three-point perspective, and I would like to remind you that I do have other videos of different lessons. Just to very quickly remind you of some of the lessons that you might want to look at that I have done videos on, the one-point perspective. Okay, this is also two-point perspective, the color scale, value study, another value study, the letter A in a one-point perspective, the point being here at the bottom, okay, with color schemes, warm and cool colors. Here's the letter B, one-point perspective, again using color schemes. Letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, and then I did a little Valentine for all of you guys for this year. Also calligraphy, it falls into the calligraphy and color schemes also. Then I did a grid drawing here, trying to show you how we can enlarge the picture from this is the original one, and then this here is the original size, then double the size at the same time for us to get an idea as to how this works. Then I did another one here for buffalo. Then a watercolor and acrylic together, and then I did a Superman. Here's a watercolor and acrylic and color pencil mixed media. Okay, then I did the letter H, and I had a video on how to label classroom assignments. Okay, so if you know a teacher that this might help them from the things that I have learned as a teacher for 44 years. And today we're going to practice a little bit on three-point perspective. I showed you a one and a 2-point, and this is going to be a three-point perspective. Now anyone can do this, okay? It just takes a little patience, a little practice, and I'm going to use certain measurements, but you can change them. I'm going to use watercolor paper here, regular pencil, eraser, ruler, okay, and color pencils, regular color pencils. Watercolor, I'm going to mix everything together. But these are things that you might have from school or from things that you have at home. I'm not using any specialized materials, because it's not fair that I use specialized materials and then you try to do it and it's not going to look the same, or it's going to come out the same. So I'm inviting for all of you to try and see if it works out for you, and if not, don't worry about it. Hey, we're at least trying, practicing the brain a little bit. Okay, so this is a three-point perspective, so I'm going to write it up here so that we'll know what we're doing. It's a three-point perspective. Now I know I have several videos out, and I kind of start out with the same way, but again, just to let you know, according to Google, if I'm not mistaken, according to them, they have over 1,300,000,000 people that use the YouTube, and 300 hours of videos are uploaded every minute, and we have 5 billion videos every day that are viewed. That's a lot, and chances are you'll never see this here again, so I had to take a chance that and define myself so that you'll remember, and try to help us by subscribing, liking, and making comments, and also sharing it, because YouTube helps the YouTubers show their videos the more subscriptions, likes, and comments and sharings that they have. Okay, so I'm a retired teacher after 44 years, and I would really would like for you to help me out by subscribing, liking, comments, and on your phone, all you have to do is you push the likes, the sharing if you're going to share it, the subscription, okay, so you can help me out. I would appreciate it very much if you learn something. And again, I could do this and just draw the picture and not worry about you learning or not, but I would like for you to try it. It's a lot of fun. It's easy. And the nice thing about videos is that you can always pause, go backwards, go forwards, stop and try to do it. So remember, all you need is going to be a pencil for now and a ruler. And if you want to color it, it's up to you. But what I would do is just try. And I'm going to use the centimeter measurements because they're easier. So I'm going to first set up a horizon line. Now, why do we need to know a little bit about perspective? Well, it's so that we can understand how things look from different points of view. Okay? So if you're standing up high, eye level, the horizon is where the earth and the sky appear to meet. Okay? And or you sitting below a certain area from the object, and so on. And that gives you a better idea if you're into drawing, to kind of have an idea as to how to draw things. And what we're going to draw today is this one here. Okay? So I'm going to start you out with some measurements. Then after that, I'm going to color it. And after I give you the measurements, I will go ahead and speed up the timing so that we don't use so much time. But please, if you like something, you learn something, you see something you like, again, I know I'll keep on bugging you, but I need your subscriptions, I need your likes, and I need your comments and sharing them, please. Thank you. Help out the old grandfather teacher here, retired teacher. Okay, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and it's going to be a controlled situation. It's going to become a controlled environment so that we can go ahead and set up our illustration here, our design. It's a study. It's not a realistic approach. Okay? Besides, if we are going to work with proportions, this is not the proportionate size paper, because our vanishing points would go off the paper to get a realistic proportion. But the objective here is to see how the points affect the objects. And in our case, we're going to have a vanishing point up on top and two on the sides. So let's get started. And I repeat myself. I'm going to give you the measurements first. After we set them all up, then I'm going to go ahead and color them. And you can change the measurements. They don't have to be what I'm going to use. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger, depending on the paper that you have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start first. And what I have here, this is the border of my drawing, the inside line, the inside border. So I'm going to go from the bottom inside here, can be anything you want. I'm going to give it 5 centimeters. Now make sure that when the ruler that you're using, the measurement begins where the measurement begins. In this case, with this ruler, the measurement begins at the edge of the ruler. So I'm going to draw it lightly, but for the camera, I'm going to make them a little darker so that you can see them. So I'm going to look in the camera and see if you can see the line. Yeah, okay, very good. So that there is 5 centimeters from the corner of the paper up, the border. Remember, that is going to be this here. This here. And I'm going to set this one here, which I have over here. From here to here. Okay, now I'm going to set this one here, the center line. Now in art, it's not a very good idea to have the objects right centered. It's not a good composition, but we're going to go ahead and do it for learning purposes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and that's right there, 10 centimeters. I'm going to go to the bottom and do the same thing with the inside border. That border line that I have is this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and go down this way, down to the bottom, and set it at 10 centimeters from the inside one. Okay. So I'm going to set it there. I'm going to draw me a light line again from that center one to the center one. Oops. Try not to move your ruler. Now, when we're drawing pictures for paintings, watercolors, we don't have to use a ruler. Now, what I did is this here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this point here in the center. So there's one vanishing point there up on top we're going to have up here. And we're going to, in this case, in the hours that we're going to learn to teach, that I'm teaching, I'm going to move it down, okay? So it doesn't touch the paper up on top. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the measurements. This is going to be the tip of the building at 2 centimeters. Now I have set my measurements here. You can change them. Okay, so my next measurement will be 2 centimeters. Let's see. Okay, that's 2 from the top. Then from that 2 one, I'm going to write it here so that you can see it. 2. Then I'm going to go 1. Then I'm going to go 2 more, just to have variation. 2 more, and remember that's 2, 1, 2 here in between this point and this point. Then I'm going to go 4, so now 3 and 4 is 7. So that's 4 right there. And then from that 7, I'm going to go 5, so 7 plus 5 is 12. So this one is 5. And then the other from 12, 10, so it's going to be 22. I'm going to give it 10. I don't know, 12? Yeah, 22. So it's going to be here. This is the base of my building there. Okay? So far we have set our border. We set our center line here. Center. And then we went up 5 here on the side. Same thing over here, 5 on the side. And those are our vanishing points. I'm going to set this one as our vanishing point. I'm going to call it VP1. VP1, vanishing point 1. This one's going to be vanishing point 2. Just for identification. Vanishing point 3. Okay, these are our points right here. Everything is going to go to those points. Now, what we're going to do next is I'm going to draw these lines, the tops of the floors. Okay, and how do we do that? Well, we line up with vanishing point 1, which is this one here, 2 centimeters down, to vanishing point 3. I'm going to go lightly. Okay, I'm going to do the other one, the other point, the other dot. And I'm going to go to this next one. And again, from the vanishing point, I'm going to each dot that I set up in the center. And this one here at the bottom. So now, you're going to see that it's no big deal because it's just repetition. So now I go here and I do the same thing that I did with VP3 and VP1. I'm going to do it with VP2. Same thing. Lightly, so that we don't have to erase too much, because that also messes up the surface of the paper. As we all know, paper is made out of wood fibers, and that's what holds our pigments and graphite and so on. So now I'll go here. Here you go. Now we have the floors, the angles. Now you'll see that it goes kind of a V form shape because we're standing here at the bottom looking up at this building. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set my width, and in this case from here to here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I purposely did it like that so that it'll be easier to explain what we're doing. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the first one 1 and make a dot. Okay, and then I'm going to make the next one 2, make a dot. I have a T-square ruler somewhere in here, but I can't find it. You see how it is when you need things. I couldn't find this one. When you need things, you can't find them. Where did I put it? Okay. I have a sample here. You gotta add the human side to it. Okay, we'll use this one. We'll use this T-square in just a minute. Now, this way I only have to do, I'm gonna use the smaller one for this. Now I'm going to the next space, which is gonna be 2. Then I'm gonna go to the next space, which is gonna be 3. And you know what? Why don't we do it all at once, right? So we go 1 on one side. Okay, here it is. 1 on one side, 1 on the other. 1 on one side, 1 on the other. Then 2 on one side and 2 on the other. 2, 2. They don't have to be the same. They can change. Now we go 3. 3 here. I go back to the 3, which is 6. Then the next space is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Then this next one is 5. And again, I did it purposely so that it'll be easier for us to learn it. Now, this here, if I line up this one here at the bottom, since I can't find my T-square ruler, I'm going to line up this one, and I'm going to draw my line on the 1 centimeter space only. There. Then I'm going to go to the 2 centimeter space, the second space. Then the third space. Okay, I think we're going there. Let's see, did we do it? So there's 1, 2, oops, this one here. We messed up. No problem. That's why we have erasers, but we don't want to get used to erasers, right? So this next one is 1, 2, this one's 3. Oh yeah, you got it wrong, brother. My friend. Ah, there it is. 2. Okay, here it is. 2. It's alright. Don't worry about it. We got it. Not going anywhere. There it is. 2. Now 3. Now 4. And now 5. There you go. Now we go to the other side. Flip this thing over. Make sure that your ruler is straight here. I'm going to get a thicker ruler here that I have. So now we line up this and do the same thing. Repetition. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There you go. There's your floors. Okay? So we look at it, and remember, we can always change the measurements. Over here I could have had half or 2 because many buildings are not symmetrical. Okay? But we're doing it symmetrical. Again, symmetrical is the same on both sides. But we're doing it symmetrical. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase these vanishing lines. Now, for learning purposes, I went ahead and drew them all the way down. But after you get practice, you find out, hey, I don't have to draw them all the way down because I'm going to have to erase them. Okay. So now carefully, we go ahead. We'll leave the horizon line there for now. Now remember, this building is solid, so we can see through it. Now I'm going to erase the same thing on this side. Now, if you do it lightly, remember I did them a little darker so that you guys can see them. You shouldn't have a lot of trouble erasing. Now remember, I'm just setting you up, and then after I do the measurements and so on, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the filming so that it'll go quicker. I'm going to color it. We're going to try. So far, we have our vanishing point 1, 2, and 3. We set up our measurements, the top of the building, and then whatever height you want for each floor of your building, the width, the depth of it, whatever you like. You can make it thinner, wider, whatever you want. And this is a horizon line here. So we have our building, make-believe building, okay? So now, we're going to go ahead and set another building. This is the corner of the building. You are standing here. This is us standing here looking at this building. We're looking at that building up like this. We're looking up, and this is what we see. So beside this building here, we're going to build another building. And again, very easy. Let's go ahead and do this one here. And that one there is about 7 centimeters from the center. It doesn't have to be. You do whatever you want, but I would suggest you follow with me so that you can get the hang of it. 7 there. 7 here. I draw a line. Draw a line. But now remember that this building, now the building can be any height, but this building, the second building, it's on the block, on the same street block. So this here, the block of it or the bottom of it is going to be dictated by the vanishing point. So it cannot be further out the way into the street. This is going to be the street, the sidewalk and the street. So I'm going to have to go ahead and maybe, just go ahead and set this building. Well, let's set it there. Yeah, let's set it there. Let me sharpen my pencil here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, this is the base of my building, I'm going to go to vanishing point 2. When I start, I hit the building, I stop. This way I don't have to draw it all the way across and then I have to erase. Now this one, since it's right at the edge, is right there. I don't have to worry about it. Okay? But now let's give it the height. How high do we want it? Well, this one here is centimeters. Now notice that this ruler starts inside. This other ruler starts right at the edge. You see it right there, so be careful. So now this one here is about 6 centimeters down. So I'm gonna make, here's the center, the corner of the building. So I'm gonna come from the top 6 centimeters and make a dot. There's that dot. That is the tip of my building. So that one there, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the tip of it. Okay, now I'm going from there, the tip, I'm going to the VP2, but I'm gonna hit the building and stop. Don't go any further. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is like what we did on the other one, we're going to set our floors. So I'm gonna go with this one, 1, and then 2, which is 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then 3, which is 6, then 4, which is 10. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go to the vanishing point from each. Notice that the closer you get to the vanishing point, the distortion gets stronger because we're looking further away. And remember, we're over here and this building's getting further and further, or and higher from where I'm standing. And remember, the buildings are different sizes, different, and so on. So now, if I go to that, now on this one, instead of going all the way down, I'm gonna stop when I hit the building because I will have to erase it. I stop right for now. For now, I'll stop there. Now again, this here, if I was drawing it freehand, if I'm doing a cityscape or a picture or watercolor, I wouldn't use the ruler, okay, because it becomes too mechanical. But I know what how it works. So now we're going to give the side of the building that is facing me, this side here, okay, and that same one that is already there is going to give us the width, the depth. So in this case, I have it at 1, and it's going to be smaller than this one. So the first one, I'm going to have it at 1, then maybe 1.5, just to make it a little different here. Then 2. And then this one here, let's make it at 2.5, just to make it a little more interesting. Now I take my ruler, I get my 90-degree angle here, line up at the base of my paper, look for the dots, draw the depth. Remember, this is a different building, it's not the same one. We're going about, in this case, we're going about ½ centimeter on each. And then, just for the fun of it, we are going to bring this one behind. It's not a good composition, but just for the illustration of it. Now on this side, I'm just going to go ahead and just do it visually. Just do it visually. So on this one, I'm going to go here, and then I'm just going to be moving the ruler out a little more. And notice that I start and I hit, I start and I stop, and then I go here, I start and I stop. You see that? And then this one here, and then this one ends right here. Okay, so now I can erase this one, this one, I can erase this, and there's my other building. Now I can probably erase, yeah, I guess we don't need it. Can erase my horizon line here. This is the horizon line, this is your eye level. You're standing there. You know, I had said that you were standing here, but really, eye level is here. Well, we're just gonna imagine, I guess we're flying, floating. This is your eye level, this is where your eyes are at, and that's what they're seeing. So don't get confused. Don't get confused. Okay? So let's say that you're probably standing away from the building on the other side of the street looking, and it's a higher level and you're looking at that. Okay, so let's not get too technical. But yeah, you would be, your eyes would be eye level. That's why the horizon, that's the idea of the horizon. So let's go ahead and draw another building over here on the back. Remember, this is right here, the corner, the edge of it. I'm gonna line up. This one I'm gonna make it up. You can make it up yourself too. But we wanna keep it inside the paper so that we can see it and enjoy it. So now this one, here's the corner of this building. And it's about that height, no problem. Then I'm gonna make up this measurements here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and draw this here, the corner, the side. This one goes to this other one over here. It stops. I'm gonna stop it there just to hide it behind the other one. And now I'm going to just imagine, make my own measurement here. No problem. I'm making this up now without measurements. What I'm trying to do is to have contrast, corner from corner, that they don't meet here. So now I'm going to give it depth. So let's say I'm making sure this is on line here, and I'm going to give it some depth on this space here. There you go. So now this is empty here. We don't see it here. We could continue and continue, you know, it doesn't end. So there's another building there. Okay? Very simple. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing on the outside, but a smaller building, wider building, just for the fun of it. This one here, I am going to make it up. Okay? You can make it up yourselves. So I'm going to make up this, and remember that the corner of the building start here at the edge of the sidewalk. So I'm going to set up this one here. I'm going to flip it over. Make sure I'm I'm on the line here, level. And I'm going to make it, you see how this is here? So I'm going to make it about this high here. There's the corner of it, goes to the bottom. Then I'm going to go to the top of the building to the vanishing point. And then I'm going to go to the opposite side to VP3. And again, I'm just going to make up the measurement here. So it'll be about here. Okay. So I'm going to line this up here. Okay, again, we don't want it to be right at the corner of that. See, it's in some. Okay, raise this one here. So I can raise this one here. This is the horizon line. We're solid buildings. And now I'm going to give it a thickness, a width, a depth. So I'm gonna make it up. We have this side already, so I'm just gonna make this one up here. Maybe about right here. And then I'm just gonna make this one up. Let's say we have one here, we have one here, we have one here, and then we have one here. So now I line them up. Again, I made it up. And I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to go all the way down because I'm going to have to erase it. Okay. Now, if I want to give my building, let me show you. Again, another space here. I'm going to go ahead and do it here. Can erase this. And this one here. And remember that the further you go from your vanishing point, the more distorted your building is going to be. So just to make it a little interesting, I'm going to make it a little wider here. And then this one a little wider. This one. Yeah, there you go. Here we go. Again, we're just making it up. This one we control. This two we control. This one we're just making them up. So now I'm going to go a little further in. A little further in. And a little further in. Now we're going to go ahead and give the difference here to the side of this building here a little bit. We're going to go from the points at the corners of the floors of the levels to vanishing point 3, and we're going to go out like this and vanishing point 3. And here we go. Now again, I'm just gonna make up this here for visual purposes, for the artistic side of it, the composition. I'm gonna make them a little different here. That fits all right there. Then this one here. Then make this one a little thinner here. Okay, so now I erase that. And this one here. Okay, and okay, view. Now we're going to draw another building further to the back, somewhere over there in the back. Now in art we deal with what you call atmospheric perspective, that the further the buildings are, the less detailed and so on. So and also the brightness of colors is affected. Now on this one we're going to keep it simple. We could do the same thing. We could do the same thing with the that building as we did with this, in 2 levels and sections and so on. But we're going to keep it like that for now. So now I'm going to give it some width here, excuse me, some depth. There you go. Okay. And we could still add another one over in the back, somewhere in the back over there. But you see how simple it is? Okay? So now, what we're going to do is we're going to set the sidewalk. So now I'm just going to make it up. We're going to do this part here. Okay? So this is the corner. We're going to go ahead and move this here. We'll just, I think it's 2, let's see, yeah, it's 2 centimeters. We'll make it at 1.5. Right here, 1.5. That there is going to go to the vanishing point. That's the edge of the sidewalk. And then it goes over here to the sidewalk. The sidewalk all the way to the vanishing point. And the sidewalk, we're going to give it maybe about 3 millimeters. You decide. You make your own. This is going to be the curb. So now we go to that. Go to that. Okay. So far so good. And again, I remind you, please subscribe, like, comment if you learned something, if you have seen something that you like. Share it if you know someone that does architecture, someone in school that would like to draw this here. This could be letterings. This could be letterings like the ones I had showed you before. So now we have the sidewalk, we have the buildings. Well, what about windows? Well, it's in most of our buildings, our windows are about the same size. So I'm gonna go down 2 centimeters, and I'm just gonna make up the windows here. This one here is gonna have windows on this side and windows on this side. So I'm gonna go on this side first, and I'm going to draw lightly just within this building because this is the building I'm dealing with first. Okay, so now this building is gonna have windows on this other side. Okay, now I'm gonna give my windows the distance from the corner and then depth. So in this case, I'm gonna set my ruler straight like this, maybe about here, so I can see. So now let's say that this is gonna be 1 centimeter away, and this is gonna be 1.5 centimeters. Then there's a half a centimeter, and then there's this here. Now this I'm making up, okay? But there is a technique which is a little more complicated of creating the distance of depth as you go back, and I'll show that later in another film. That's another story. Here's one window. Here's the distance between them, and here. There you go. Now we're going to do the same thing up on this other side. So now let me go ahead and use the smaller ruler. If I can find it, I'm always misplacing them. So I'm going to go 1 centimeter. And then I went 1.5. Then half. And then 1. And it doesn't have to be the same as this side because it's in a different side of the building. Could be a different, they might not be related, the floors might not be related, or the windows. So I can do that. There you go. Just so that we don't get confused, I'm going to erase this, and now these are glass windows. And when you have glass, you can't see in during the day unless they have very bright lights. Glass is gonna act like a mirror. So there's a window. And I'm gonna say that we're gonna add another 2 layers of windows on this side. So in this case, I'm gonna go from here, and then I'm gonna, again, I'm just making this up. Okay, 1 centimeter there, then 1 centimeter here, and now these are smaller windows, and I'm just gonna have them on this side. So now I'm going to use the width. They're gonna be the same width. They're gonna be the same width. Okay, so I'm going to kind of estimate the lines right now there. And then I'm going to draw my lines. Okay, so now I go from the, right now I did, for this ones I did them here. But now that I have them set up, I'm using the edge of this to set this ones up. So I'm going to the vanishing point. Okay. Now to draw straight lines when you don't have a T-square, you have to have 2 points. Now sometimes we say line when they're really line segments, okay? So, you know, again, this can get very technical. Well, what about a door? Well, the door, we're gonna set up a door here. I'm just gonna make up the size of the door. Buildings have big doors, so I'm just gonna say, well, it's about 2 centimeters high. Okay, and I'm going to go to the vanishing point, draw my line for the door, and let's say we'll place it about right below that window and this window. Okay, so now I'll line up this here, and I draw this here. And it's a double door that opens like this, or okay. So now, how do I find the center in this case? Well, what you do is you go from corner to corner, and then wherever the center meets, that's where the other door, the division of the doors is at. There you go. But one is going to be wider than the other because we're at an angle, remember, over here. Now we're looking down on this thing here. Again, we're making believe. Okay? So now we have our building. We could also try to follow this using the same line of windows, you know, just for the final. You could do that or make your own on this building. It's up to you. Okay? So now we have the sidewalk. Here's the road coming out here. Okay? And in between here, notice here, we're going to have, here's the corner of this one. He has to go to the vanishing point 3 over here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. There's an alley, there's a space in between the buildings in this case. Okay? So now what I'm going to do now, since you have seen and you have an idea as to how to do the windows, you can create the same thing with this one here yourselves. Create windows, create whatever you would like. So from here on, I'm going to speed up the system, and I'm going to add color to them, and then I'm going to probably add some color pencils. I'm going to use some watercolor for the background, color pencils, outline it, and so on, just to make it interesting, just to have something to show what we did. And this is a 3-point perspective. 3-point perspective. It's a study. Let me write study. It's not a realistic proportion, but we're studying the vanishing points and the perspective lines, the linear lines. So it's not going to be in proportion. Keep that in mind. Okay? So it's just a study. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and color it, outline it, and again I remind you to subscribe. And it's very simple. You just go to your phone. And you hit like. If you like something in it, you learn something, you subscribe. Please subscribe. Share it with someone. Make comments. And remember that the YouTube, that's what they're looking for. So give me a chance. I'm a retired teacher and I'm learning myself. I've learned a lot about YouTube. It's a great source where you can learn a lot of things. Okay, so now from here on, I'm going to, you're not going to hear me. I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of the outlining and the coloring and so on. And I really, really would appreciate your support. bye.